Hello and welcome to my channel, Exceedingly Good Reviews. I'm your host, TJ Froddy, and this is a My Thoughts On video, but a different My Thoughts On video. This is a My Thoughts On the draft, the overall thoughts on the draft. I did a thoughts on the draft, what I wanted to see happen, what I didn't want to see happen. This, now that the draft, the two-night event has occurred, this is my overall thoughts on what has occurred, where everyone has gone, what I think will happen with the superstars on their new shows, etc., etc., etc. So I shall begin. I'll give a quick run through of what brand everyone is on and whether they are new to the brand or have remained on that brand. So, night one on SmackDown, drafted to Raw, Drew McIntyre, Oscar, The Hurt Business, that's 4 wrestlers in one pick, AJ Styles, new, Naomi, new, Nia Jackson, Shayna Baszler, Ricochet, Mandy Rose, Miz and Morrison, new. New Day, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, New Day, they were new. Dana Brooks, Angel Garza, Humberto Carrillo, Tucker and Drew Gulak occurred on Talking Smack. Now, Tucker and Drew Gulak are new to Raw, even though Drew Gulak's been appearing on Raw in the 24/7 title picture, but they're new to Raw officially. A free agent before Raw occurred. Grand Metalik and Lindsay Dorado were signed by Raw, so there's 2 new picks as well. The Fiend, new to Raw, was picked on Raw, night 2 of the draft on Raw. Orton stays, Charlotte Flair stays, Braun Strowman moved over, new pick. Matt Riddle, new. Jeff Hardy, new. Retribution, 5 wrestlers in one. Some people might argue it's 6, but I've heard that Mercedes Martinez will not be part of the group going forward. Whether she's gone back down to NXT or she'll be on SmackDown, I'm not sure, but I'm just classing this as 5 members. Mia Yim, whatever her name is, Retaliation, Revenge, whatever her name is, Slapjack, sorry, Mace, T-Bar, and Mustafa Ali, the 5 members of Retribution. They remain. Keith Lee remains. Alexa Bliss switching brands, going with the Fiend. Elias switching. Lacey Evans switching. Sheamus switching. Nikki Cross switching. R-Truth remains. Dabba-Kato remains. Titus O'Neil remains. Peyton Royce remains. And Akira Tozawa remains. I'm guessing all his ninja cohorts will remain with him. And then on Raw Talk, Lana remains, Riddick Moss remains, and Arturo Ruas, he remains. So there's your Raw pick. That's your Raw roster now. 48 wrestling members are there on the Raw brand. Good for them. 19 of those individuals are new, and 13 of those wrestlers are lady wrestlers, female wrestlers. So they've got quite a big female locker room roster there. 13 women competing for the women's title and occasionally the women's tag team title, the Raw women's title and the women's tag team titles but those women's tag team titles can float between the brands. So yeah, so 48 wrestlers. The 3-hour show, it needed the larger roster. So yeah, not a bad roster there. I'll go through the SmackDown roster and then I'll give my overall thoughts. So for SmackDown, on night 1 of the draft, they kept Roman Reigns. Brought in, new to SmackDown, Seth Rollins. Sasha Banks remains. Bianca Belair, new, great pick. Jey Uso remains. The Mysterio family, they classed it as Dominic and Rey, and in here I've counted them just as 2 people, but realistically it's 4 because Rey's wife and Aaliyah Mysterio, I'm guessing they'll all come with them. So it's the whole Mysterio family, but we're classing it as 2 people. New to SmackDown. Big E remains and Otis remains. Talking Smack, Murphy got traded over from Raw to SmackDown, and Kalisto remains. A free agent signing, Shorty G, was signed by SmackDown. And then on Raw, night 2 of the draft, Bayley remains. Street Profits, new to the brand. Daniel Bryan remains. Kevin Owens, new. Lars Sullivan remains. King Corbin remains. Sami Zayn, the Intercontinental Champion, remains. Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro, the former SmackDown Tag Team Champions, remain. Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode, new to the brand. Apollo Crews, new to the brand. And Carmella remains. Oh, and Aleister Black, new to the brand. Then on Raw Talk, Natalya switched brands. She came from Raw to SmackDown. And the Riot Squad has come from Raw to SmackDown. So overall, SmackDown has 30 superstars, 15 of which are new, and 7 are women. They've got a very small It's half the size, nearly, of the Raw women's division. 7 ladies. But I do think in Bianca Belair, that's one of the signings of the draft, in my opinion. So, my overall thoughts on all this. Yeah, I thought it was quite lazy by WWE. I don't like the format of the draft. I'd rather it just be certain individuals are available for drafting. That SmackDown and Raw can lock in certain individuals, like their champions and whatnot. The whole fiasco of the SmackDown Tag Team Champs, the New Day going to Raw, then the Raw Tag Team Champions, the Street Profits going to SmackDown, and they had to do a title exchange, which seemed quite pointless and unnecessary. Just have your champions locked in. If you know this is coming up and you want to switch these teams around between brands, then don't let them have the tag team titles. Wrestling, shock horror here, it's predetermined. Just don't let them have the belts if you intend on moving them. So yeah, that I did not get. We got some of the Raw feuds. So the draft, it's an opportunity for brand new feuds to begin. Brand new opportunities, new feuds, new matchups, something fresh. Instead, what we've got is Seth Rollins, Murphy, and the Mysterio family all coming over from Raw to SmackDown. I'm guessing to continue their feud. Okay, we've seen enough of this on Raw. Now I'm guessing we're going to see it on SmackDown. Will it be any different? No, it'll just be on a different day of the week. So what's the point in that? Alistair Black, Pirate Black, Black Eye Black, coming over from Raw to SmackDown, and Kevin Owens coming over from Raw to SmackDown. Individually, both are good picks, but are they going to continue their feud? I hope not, because if they do, then that's just the Raw feud continuing on SmackDown. It's going from it appearing on Mondays to appearing on Fridays. What is the point? It's lazy booking, I think. Trade one of these individuals, like trade in Kevin Owens, bring Kevin Owens, give him a fresh start on SmackDown, and bring across Seth Rollins, which I thought was a belter of a draft. It was a great draft pick for SmackDown. Then don't bring the Mysterios. On another point, I think the tag team division on SmackDown has been severely depleted. Now, Raw didn't really have a tag team division, unfortunately, because you've Ivar of the Viking Raiders is out injured, leaving just Eric. He can't tag team on his own. You only really had the Street Profits. You've split up Angel Garza and Andrade, finally, thankfully. So they've split up. The Hurt Business, for some reason, haven't been going for tag team gold, even though you've got 4 male members there. Any combination of them two, or have the free bird ruling, where any 2 of them 4 can compete for the belts and defend the belts. So, but for some reason, they've not been involved in the tag team picture. So the Raw tag team division didn't really exist. They've kind of sacrificed the SmackDown tag team division to give it to Raw. Gran Metalik and Lince Dorado, Lucha House Party. Whether they remain as a tag team is unsure, but they've been drafted together, so you can assume they will. The Miz and Morrison and the New Day, all them going over from SmackDown to Raw. They've split up Otis and Tucker, so Raw's got Tucker. What's Tucker going to do on Raw? I imagine he's just going to be lost in the shuffle, maybe just put down onto Raw Underground to compete there when that eventually returns, if it returns. So they've kind of like ripped apart the SmackDown tag division to give to Raw. Now, yes, you can argue, well, SmackDown kept Nakamura and Cesaro. They're not, I don't view them as a long-term tag team. They are 2 singles competitors that were fudged together in need of the moment. Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode, are pretty much the same. They're 2 singles competitors in my eyes. I do like the rumour that James Storm was in negotiations with WWE before the whole lockdown, before the whole COVID-19 fiasco occurred. If he can come over to SmackDown, to WWE, then yes, please, Beer Money. If you have not heard of Beer Money, go check them out. Beer Money, from their days within TNA Wrestling, were one of the best, if not the best at the time, tag team going. They were phenomenal. They were great. They were a belter. But yeah, Jey Uso staying on SmackDown, but no mention of Jimmy Uso. He wasn't even listed as a free agent, so I'm guessing because he's out injured right now. Hopefully he'd remain on SmackDown, but Naomi's over on Raw, so could that hint at him moving over to Raw? I'm not sure. Is Jimmy even Naomi's husband, or is it Jay? I don't know. I think it's Jimmy. I'm pretty sure it's Jimmy. Like I said, they've ripped apart. Yes, they've gained the Street Profits. Yes, they've gained Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode, but like I said, Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler are a Franken team. Yes, you've got the Mysterios, and I hope that they. But are you really going to build the SmackDown Tag Division just around the Street Profits and the Mysterios? Is that it? Are they the only two teams that you've got? I mean, looking at the list of superstars, like I said, Otis is now a singles competitor. You're going to team him with, if anyone. I think once he's cashed in his Money in the Bank briefcase, he'll be long forgotten, unfortunately. Yes, he's a fun act, but that's what he is. He's a fun act. He's not a serious threat, a serious competitor. Yes, he can go in the ring. I've seen him. He puts on a great show, but I don't really see him as a long-term singles competitor. Not at the top anyway, not at the top of the card. As a lower mid-card, lower card wrestler, yes. Which is unfortunate. Then once again, you've got the women's division. The women's division, yes, you'd say that the women that were traded over to Raw weren't really overly important. Alexa Bliss, well, she was going to go because The Fiend went. Then you've got Lacey Evans. She didn't really do much on SmackDown. Nikki Cross, she's had quite a few opportunities at the SmackDown Women's title and failed on every occasion. She's gone over. Naomi's gone over. You're not really seeing anything of her recently. So, really, the women that SmackDown have lost ain't really been all that important, that much of a force. But the women that they've gained in, especially Bianca Belair, that it's like I said, that's a belter of a pick that for SmackDown. SmackDown, I think, did the better picks overall, but the fact that they've had their tag team division ripped apart really, really bugs me. And just the lack of depth to their women's roster kind of bugs me as well. I mean, if you put the women's tag team titles onto a team here on SmackDown, let's say the Riot Squad, new to SmackDown, they win the women's tag team titles. Okay, that leaves you then 5 women to compete for the that are free to compete for the SmackDown Women's title. Let's say that remains on Bayley, so you've got 4 women to compete for that. Yes, your tag team wrestlers can compete for it, and likewise your women's champion can compete for the tag team titles, but you're better keeping them separate for most of the year if you can. So at least 4 women to compete for those belts. Now, granted, the women's tag team titles can cross-brand and whatnot, so you have got that get-out card there, but it just doesn't seem enough depth. Now, 5 individuals were still classed as free agents. Andrade, Eric of the Viking Raiders, like I said, Ivar's currently out injured, Billy Kay, Tamina, and Zelina Vega. What I would do here is Tamina, Billy Kay, and Zelina Vega, put them all on SmackDown. If you wanted to, you can put Tamina over on Raw, because the potential of a Tamina and Nia Jax tag team once again, they've tag teamed before in the past, and them teaming again would be quite interesting to see if taken seriously, if done right. So, okay, yeah, let's put Tamina over on Raw. Billy Kay and Zelina Vega come over to SmackDown, because obviously Zelina Vega is married to Aleister Black and he's on SmackDown, so likelihood he would come. Andrade, you'd have to put him on Raw because Charlotte Flair is on Raw. And then Eric, I'd probably keep him on Raw while he's a singles competitor. Just let him have the occasional combat fights in Raw Underground, like I said, if they continue that. Keep him relevant until Ivar can return. But yeah, so that's what I'd do. Andrade, Eric, and Tamina to Raw, Billy Kay and Zelina Vega to SmackDown. That at least puts SmackDown's women's division then up to 9 and gives them a little bit more freedom, a little bit more breathing room on what you can do feud-wise. But yeah, overall, I think it was a very lazy draft. It was entertaining. It did keep me glued to the screen. I every time Stephanie McMahon was on stage announcing picks, I was hooked. I was intrigued to see who was going where, who was staying and whatnot. Overall, though, reviewing it all, checking it all out, with all the names here in front of me, I've got to say it was quite underwhelming, really. And yeah, like I said, it felt very lazy from WWE. Just transferring over feuds from one brand to the other seemed very pointless to me. This is an opportunity to freshen everything up, and I don't feel that is what WWE have done. I could be wrong here, and the Mysterio family and Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy, their feud could be over now on SmackDown. As is Kevin Owens and Aleister Black's feud, that could be over. So yeah, I could be wrong. However, if I'm not, then it's very, very lazy from WWE. So yeah, they're my overall thoughts on the 2020 WWE Draft. What are your thoughts? Your thoughts on the WWE Draft? Let me know in the comments. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you like my channel, if you like my videos as a whole, hit the subscribe button, please. Yeah, thank you very much for staying tuned and watching this video. Stay safe. Stay classy.